Hi guys, welcome to the Lady of Crisis series. Today I have Jennifer Ong, founder of HAPA Group. We're gonna have a very interesting topic here because one thing interesting about Jennifer is this: I've heard about her many years ago, and many people in F&B talk to me about her. She's like the taikate of the F&B industry, right? Like the big sister, right? The big sister of the F&B industry. And during this crisis, I got to know her better mainly because at first she was the voice of the F&B industry. She was doing videos, she was on media all over, talking to governments on how they can possibly save the F&B industry. And then later on, I got to know her personally when a friend contacted both of us and said that you guys should meet, right? You guys have such aligned values. And they said you guys should come together. And then I met Jennifer. And after that, the rest is history. Right, Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and since then, Jennifer has been really an amazing entrepreneur who inspired me a lot because she runs a 26-year-old business, very traditional business. She came from publishing, she came from magazines to events, everything offline, very traditional. But right now, she has successfully pivoted. Yeah, so today what we're gonna do is gonna have her to share her experience, how she pivoted, and then later on we're gonna do some Q&A. So you guys are gonna be so blessed because she will share with you a lot of her systems, a lot of her tactics, and a lot of her strategies. Right. So over to you, Jennifer.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and making time to join us for this sharing session. It's been really amazing journey for me. And I think, I don't want to keep asking people how has it been, doing this MCO, because the answers are all probably the same, trying hard and trying to pivot, trying this and trying that. So today I just want to talk about what kind of mindset do we need to actually get ourselves through this very challenging period, right? And not just now, not just during the MCO, but rather also the post-MCO. So today I really want to share about how do you empower yourself with a warrior mindset. It's a very, why I chose the word warrior, because I think times like this we need to learn how to conquer our mind, because our mind is actually such a powerful part of us that we actually have underestimated it, right? So I love this saying that only those who can see the impossible, can see the invisible, can do the impossible. So the question right now is, are you one of them, right? Now I'd like to show you what Jack Ma says. So think about this. Jack Ma usually is a very optimistic person, right? And he's been through so much in his life. He's been rejected, he's come back, he's fallen, he's come back. And if I were to really resonate with what he says, then my question to you is really, is this crisis here to destroy you? Or do you think the crisis is here to build you? So I like to share my own experience. Yeah, I want to be able to share my own experience. And I've got here a long list. It's kind of like what I do when I share my life story. And I usually say my life in numbers, right? So I just want to run through with you very quickly what actually happened in the last, 30, 40 days, 50 days of MCO. And we know that MCO actually started, right? Now, if you look at this slide, it's got lots of things. You see, MCO started on the 18th of March. And the first 2 weeks, what I did was I actually spent 2 weeks lobbying for the F&B industry. And what happened then on the 1st of April, right? On the April Fool's Day, to be honest, I started panicking. I started panicking because I spent so much of my time and my focus in lobbying for the F&B industry that I totally forgotten about my own business. And I come from a very, very traditional business. I am like, everything is on print, training is on site, awards is all through mystery judging. Nothing is online, absolutely nothing. So what happened then, after the 1st of April, I was really desperately looking for ways to get myself online, because that was what everyone says, right? Get yourself online, get yourself online. So I went talking to people, trying to find collaboration partners. And what happened was then I was so desperate to try and get myself onto online or the business onto online that I just grabbed every opportunity that came, right? Every collaboration, possible collaboration that people tell me, oh, we can do this together, Jen, we can do that together. And I started grabbing everything. And then what happened was I had a mind indigestion, like what Jonathan says, right? It's not about being starved. It's not about having starvation. It's about having indigestion. And that was actually exactly what happened to me. And it didn't just impact me. It also impacted my team because they all had to do so many things at one time because that's what I wanted. I said, okay, go to the left, go to the right, go to the front, go to the back. And everybody was just scrambling. And then finally, I knew that, really wasn't the way I should be going. So on the 4th of April, I decided that I was going to engage a mentor. And I told myself, I said, Jen, if you want to go online and you don't know anything about online, then you need to get someone to guide you. You need to get someone to teach you. So I said, okay. So somebody recommended someone to me. I made one call. I had a 2-hour conversation and I decided and said, yes, this is the person that I need. So I got myself a mentor on the 4th of April. And from 4th of April till now, things haven't stopped. It was, I've just started rolling everything out. So on the 10th of April, I did my first webinar, my very first webinar. On the 15th of April, I attended the CIS course, right? The Crisis Innovation course. Immediately on the 16th, I decided what I needed to do. I crafted out the Mind Warrior Bootcamp. I knew what kind of strategies I needed to put in. On the 16th, I already started announcing about the bootcamp. And then we finished the course on the 17th. And then on the 21st, I met my first 10K challenge, right? And then immediately on the 24th, I executed my masterclass, my very first Mind Warrior Bootcamp masterclass. 25th, I did my first coaching, a 30-day coaching. I started that on 25th. 27th, I had a collaboration with Jonathan for Owner Circle where we did a talk where both mindset as well as strategy put into one course and we offered it to the F&B industry. And then, of course, today we're actually on day 12 of my bootcamp. So just to show you quickly, right, what actually happened, I'm going to show you some of the slides here. Right, you see the next slide, you can see these are all the lobbying that I've done. I basically lobbied to BFM, Astro, TV3, Millennial, all the newspapers that I could get my hands on. And then, I started doing talks. So basically what happened, the entire NCO actually pushed me forward, even though I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready at all. I mean, I didn't know how to do a video. I didn't know how to do online stuff. I didn't know what it is to take, to do a streaming or any sort of that, anything of that sort. But I needed to do, and all I was thinking about is this 2 weeks, I got to go out, I got to lobby. And that was what I did. I just went all out, right? And then my first webinar, like I told you, was on the 9th of April, on the 10th of April. So 10th of April, I did my first webinar. And then, of course, I was very blessed that I want to thank Yenny. I want to thank Chef Yenny. She actually pushed me. She encouraged me to attend the Leadership in Crisis course with Raymond. And that was, I think, on end of March, 26th of March. And she said, it's really, really good. You should go. And I did, right? I learned how to do Zoom. I learned how to get into Zoom. And that particular course sort of opened me up and said, okay, Jen, now this is not really that difficult. Yeah. If I continue to think it's difficult, it will be difficult. So then I had the pleasure of attending Jonathan's course on the 15th. And immediately after that, guys, I already launched my bootcamp. I did my first collaboration. And now I'm already doing 12 days of coaching every day for 1 hour a day. I'm doing online virtual coaching with my trainees. And this is something I've never dreamt of, never imagined, right? And now I'm all ready to bring the Mind Warrior Bootcamp out to the market. I'm ready to launch it to the corporate world. And my team are all ready. And, I do some self-reflection and ask myself, if it wasn't for this crisis, would I have done all this? The answer is no, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have because I was very fixated. My mind was extremely fixated to what I couldn't do. I was very sure, I was very stubborn that, the online things is not for me. We don't do online stuff. And because I was so fixated about the fact that I couldn't do online, I don't know how to do, therefore I had no resources. I was not resourceful to look for people to help me. So what I want to share with you is basically, what does it really take to do mind mastery? How can we conquer our minds? How can we be more powerful than our own minds? Like, would you even imagine if I told you that there is a way? There is a way to learn. There's a way to train yourself to make sure that you're more powerful than your mind. But before I share with you, I want to ask you these 3 questions. Now, I want you to take a look at this slide. I want you to ask yourself these 3 questions. The first is, do you want to have the power to transform your negative thoughts to positive thoughts any time of the day, any day and anywhere, right? The second one I want to ask you is, do you want to master the techniques to transform your bad habits into good habits? Number 3 is that, do you want to master the skills to become your own cheerleader? Now, if you look at these questions, you're going to say, well, it's impossible, right? It's impossible to transform all negative thoughts to positive thoughts. It's impossible to change my bad habits to good habits because I've been having these habits for a long time. I've been in business for 26 years. I have been so fixated in the fact that I cannot go online, and that's my belief. But how do I actually change it in less than a month? Or in fact, I changed that whole thinking pattern in less than a week. So my point is, if your answer is yes to all 3 of them, then get ready to listen in, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you some of my secrets in how you master the mind for unlimited power and mental strength. Now take a look at this slide. Look at this warrior. What does it give you? What does this image show you? When you look at this image, what is the message you get from this image? What is it? Do you feel that it's a very powerful image, very courageable, very daring, very adventurous? That is why our vision is key. Now take a look at the next slide here. What is it saying? It says vision is key. Only those who can see the invisible can do the impossible. So when I ask you to look at the slide earlier and look at the image and ask you, what do you see? If you see courage, if you see adventure, if you see bravery, these are visions. Because that image that I showed you earlier was a still image. It didn't speak to you. There's no sound, no audio, nothing, no movement. It's just a still image. But a still image can give you the thoughts and the emotion of courage and adventure and bravery, right? And that's because you have the vision. You have the vision to be able to see the impossible, the invisible. That's how you convert that vision into reality. So the interesting part is this. Now let me show you this slide. I want to give you 2 scenarios here. Okay, scenario A and scenario B. Now look at scenario A. Look at scenario A. Now, I want you to do a self-reflection, and I want you to go back to the time when you first started your business. Doesn't matter how many years ago. Just go back a bit. Okay. Now I'm going to ask you, what were the 3 main things that you were thinking about then? Okay, that you thought about as a startup entrepreneur when you first started your business. Just take a minute. Just take a minute to think about it. From all this here, I want you to pick 3. If you want to share, I think you can share it. Yeah, on the live comments, you can share what are the 3 things, or what are the 3 common things that people think about when you start your business. So you think about beginning with a plan, right? You find the best mentor, or do you study the greatest strength? What is your greatest strength? What's your business greatest strength? You get all systems to grow. So you go and look for collaboration, you look for partners, you look for all sorts of platforms that you can ride on. Do you think about being a solution in your own area of business? Are you a solution provider? Do you keep it simple? Do you keep your business simple? Do you surround yourself with winners? Do you usually hang around when you first started? Were you talking to a lot of successful entrepreneurs to get their feedback, their opinion, their comments? Do you source for knowledge? Do you learn new skills? Or do you take full ownership in the results that you want to see? So whatever answers you've got there, I want you to put it aside. So I want you to put these 3 answers at the back of your head, okay? And then now I'm going to give you scenario B. So I'm going to let you look at the scenario B. Now, scenario B is going to be, what if I had said, what were the 3 main things that you had to make sure that you have before you first started your business? Yeah, make sure that you have. So I'm talking to you and I'm asking you to make sure. So I'm going to ask you questions like, have you got enough money in the bank to start your business? Have you secured any guaranteed funding before you started your business or before you want to start your business? Have you hired a highly knowledgeable and skilled team before you start? Have you done that? Do you have them? Right? Have you found yourself a cheap rental space so that you won't have to be working for your landlord for the rest of the time of the business? And I would ask you, have you sustainable cash flow for the next 6 months? Do you have enough money in the bank? And do you have a plan B? Because in case your plan A fails, right? Who knows? You might fail. So now I want you to think back about the question A that I asked. And I'm going to show you the next slide, which is going to show you a great difference. Now, what is the most significant difference between the scenario A and scenario B of how I actually talk to you? So for scenario A, what I did was I empowered your mind to think how to be resourceful by giving you all the great possibilities and ensuring that you succeed. Instead of directing your mind to think of all the resources that you need and all the possible failures you encounter. So my conversation with you, my conversation pattern with you, my communication pattern with you in scenario A is only giving you all the good resources. So what happens is when I give you all the good resources, I'm forcing your mind to think about all the current resources you have and how you're going to make it better, how you're going to make it work. Everything is about how to make it work. So that's how I'm directing your mind to think that way. In scenario B, I'm actually leaving it a very open way of making you answer, but I will make sure that whatever I ask you, your answers will always be a negative answer. So even if you say, if I say, do you have enough money in the bank? And you say, yeah, I think so. And I'm going to ask you again, how long can you last with that money? What happens if it doesn't work out? What happens if you fail? What happens if there's no customers who come to your outlets? What happens if no one buy your stuff? So I continue to communicate with you in all the negative questions and negative answers that you have no choice but to think about only negative answers, because that's where I'm directing your brain. That's where I'm directing your mind. So if you look at that, you notice that the way I've communicated with you as a scenario A person and a scenario B person, it's very, very different because of the way my pattern, the way I'm speaking to you, that pattern of mine, my communication pattern with you, influences your thinking pattern. So if you don't control your mind and you allow your mind to control you, or worse still, you allow another party, outside party, the world, the society, or anyone around you to control the way you think, you're just giving your car keys to them. That's as good it is. You just basically say, okay, take my keys and drive me wherever you want. So when you look at this slide here, now look at this photo, look at these 2 guys, it's just basically they're staring down and they're looking at, okay, where do I go? So what does it mean is that, why do we always talk about being resourceful? In times of crisis, we don't want to look into resources, because when I talk about resources, I'm actually talking to you in the communication pattern of scenario B. Because when I talk to you about resources, like, do you have enough people? Do you have enough money? Is your staff going to help you do this? Do you have a good chef? And all these things I ask you are all based on resources. When I ask you these questions, and if you don't have enough people, if you don't have enough resources like money, your answer is going to be no. And what happens when you communicate with someone with a no answer? It will just get further. It gets deeper into a no. So then my next question to you is that how are you going to make it? How are you going to last another 6 months? You might as well wrap up now and don't do your business anymore. So if you want to communicate with somebody who has a resourceful way of speaking, they'll be asking, okay, so how many staff do you have now? How much money do you have in the bank? What have you got on the plate? All right, what can we do with these resources? Even if you have 3 staff, you can still do something. Even if you have only 10,000 ringgit in your bank, you can still do something. Now that's being resourceful. And that's very, very important, because when you be resourceful, you're talking about solving problems. Yeah, solving problems. If you talk about scenario B, which is talking about resources, you're not solving problem, you're adding problem. You're adding whatever problem and stress and anxiety into your mind because you know you can't cope. So the question now is, I'm going to share with you this very simple 3 steps, right? So what I want to talk about here quickly is, how do you navigate your mind? How do you navigate the mind from a crisis mode to a mind warrior mode? It's like when you are a pilot, when you are a sea captain, when you are a driver. How do you navigate and how do you drive will determine the destination, not just the destination, determine the journey and the destination for yourself and for everyone around you. If you are a pilot, your passengers need to rely on you to get to a destination. If you are a sea captain, the people on the ship relies on you to get them to where they want. So they're very, very simple steps to mind mastery. Let me just show you. And this is what I do. So I have been in business for 26 years. And it hasn't been easy. It has been very ugly. There's some years that I really had very ugly years. I almost lost my company to bankruptcy. And I lost my husband at a very young age. I'm a single mom. And so if I wanted to just look at my own situation and think that, why is my life this way? Why do I have to go through this? Why are people better than me? And I continue to sulk and I continue to resent. I would never be able to sit here today to speak to you, because I would have lost to my mind. I would have lost. When you say, people have a lost mind, what does it mean? It doesn't mean you really have a lost mind. It just means that you have lost the battle to your mind. You've just lost the battle. So I have used these 3 very simple steps to train myself. And today I will call myself a mind master. Yes, because I know that I can master my own mind. I know when to tweak it. I know when to navigate it to the direction I want. I know how to take the unresourcefulness out of my mind. I know how to replace it with resourcefulness. I know where I want my mind to go. So if you look at these 3 things, these 3 very simple steps, the first thing is to train your mind to focus on what you want and not what you don't want. If you ask somebody now, what's your feeling and emotion during MCO, right? People are going to say what? Stress, because of the uncertainty, worried, angry, frustrated. But is that what you want? Do you guys want that? Do you want to continue to feel anxious? Do you want to feel stressful? Do you want to feel angry? Do you want to feel frustrated? So if that is not what you want, then why are we all focusing on what we don't want? So the fact of the matter is that when you train your mind to only look at the good, when you train your mind to only think of the good, it will come to a point where you will get addicted. So your mind gets addicted to the goodness, and therefore when the bad and negative comes to you, you will know how to close the door. You will know how to brush it away, because that's not what you want. The point about mind mastery is to be able to program yourself to get from an uncomfortable stage to a comfortable stage. Your mind is not comfortable thinking of the good. Your mind is comfortable thinking of the bad. So now you need to make that part to become comfortable, and whatever that's not comfortable to become comfortable, and not whatever that's comfortable to become uncomfortable. So that's why it's very important that you work on the second one, which is feed your mind with abundance of positivity. You need to feed your mind. Now you have breakfast. Everyone has breakfast. And we know for a fact that when you, as much as you and I love nasi lemak, and we continue to eat nasi lemak every day, it's not going to be healthy. Correct? You know for a fact that we need to eat salads, we need to have milk, we need to have fruits, we need to have a balanced diet. But if we choose to continue to eat nasi lemak every day for 365 days, tell me what's going to happen to your body. So if we know for a fact that we need to feed our body with healthy stuff and remove the unhealthy stuff, then the same thing happens to our mind. What are the healthy things that you feed your mind every day? Do you feed nasi lemak, which you love very much? Do you know that you're so comfortable with it? Or do you want to feed with salads? Or you want to feed with vegetable salads and milk and juices and whatever not? And these are all skills. These are all trainable skills. That's the beauty of it. You can train yourself. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can train yourself. So when you start training yourself to the point, then step number 3 is very simple. You program your mind to run in autopilot mode. And what's autopilot mode? Autopilot mode is a system, right? Autopilot means habits. So your mind gets into a habitual mode. So you cycle. Now, all of you cycle, right? I'm sure we all cycle. When you first went on a bicycle, what happened to you? You fell so many times, right? You couldn't get the pedal going. You couldn't get the balance going. You were going this way. You were tipping off. But what happened when you started to master the cycling? When you managed to master the cycling, what happened? You managed to cycle at a faster momentum. You could go downhill. You could cycle uphill because you mastered the skill of cycling. It's the same thing here. If you master the way you program your mind will be automatically programmed by you, not by anyone else. But when you don't program your mind gets automatically programmed. And you know who programs your mind automatically? Social media, the society, the news, the negative people, the negative energy. Yeah, anyone who are negative, who talks to you every day, where you listen to news every day, you look at social media every day, and you continue to read this negative news and you continue to listen to negative things, they are the ones who feed you. So you got to be very careful. So I want you to now look at the questions again. Let's revisit the question just now. Okay, let's look at the next slide here. Now, the 3 questions I asked you earlier, correct? Do you want to have the power to transform your negative thoughts to positive thoughts? Anytime, any day, anywhere. Like literally like that. Yeah, literally like that. So what you need to do is, over here in our academy, we actually train your mind to focus on what you want and not what you don't want. And believe you me, I am running this boot camp with my trainees now, like I say, for 12 days, right? And 12 days, who feeds their mind? And I do my boot camp at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's for 1 hour. Actually, it's for half an hour, but I extended it to 1 hour because I was really enjoying the sharing, and they were learning. They were enjoying the learning. So I said, okay, we'll do it an hour. Every morning, their healthy breakfast for their mind is our boot camp, right? I feed their mind with things, with learnings, with knowledge, with learnings, with positivity, and always asking them, what do you want? I'm not interested in what you don't want, okay? Not interested. I'm interested in what you want. Tell me what you want. You tell me what you want, I help you to guide you to the pathway that you can go and get what you want. So that requires training. And when you can do that, and one of the things that I have yet to implement it with them is we're on level 2 now. So level 1 was on a reboot. Now we're on level 2, which is realigning the mind. We have this technique, we call it the 5-second rule. When you can implement this tool of 5-second rule, your mind has no time to think about negativity. Because anything that's more than 5-second rule, you're going to start doubting yourself, thinking, what if I didn't make it? What if I don't do this? Now, those of you who have a problem with your snooze button, if you have a problem with your snooze button, those of you, I did, yeah. I've come out of it, but I did. If you have the pattern of setting your alarm every 5 minutes, and you know for a fact that when you set your alarm every 5 minutes, you're going to press and go back to bed. The one thing that really can help you get out of that habit is to use a 5-second rule. And that's what we teach. Yeah, we teach you how to use the 5-second rule. And that 5-second rule will change your life forever. Okay. Now, the second thing we were talking about was, do you want to master the techniques of transforming your bad habits to good habits? Right? Now, a lot of you may think, how to kick off bad habits. Do you know we have a trainee on our boot camp? He's actually a smoker. And when he first joined the boot camp, he didn't think about quitting smoking. But on the second day, he started thinking about quitting smoking. And he has stopped smoking for 5 days. Yeah, 5 days. And it's all through the techniques we teach. So who says you can't kick off bad habits? You can. With a 5-second rule, you can. So what we will do is we will feed your mind with abundance of positivity by using a reframing technique to help you master the right language pattern. So go back to scenario A and B just now. Scenario A has a positive language. Scenario B has a negative language. Before we speak, we always think first. Before we act, we always think first. So if your thinking pattern is on the right path, whatever that comes out from your mouth in terms of words will be positive. There is absolutely no way, I guarantee you, there's absolutely no way that when you think positive, you're going to get negative words out of you. It's not possible. Okay, it's just simply not possible. So we teach you how to make sure that you feed your mind with that mastery of speaking in a positive way eventually becomes an autopilot for you. And every time you speak, things just happen like that, just a split second. Everything is always positive. Yeah. So what happens when you're positive? You become resourceful at all times. Number 3, I also ask you whether you want to master the skills of becoming your own cheerleader. What is cheerleader? Think about, just imagine right now, visualize cheerleader, right? What does cheerleader do? What do? They cheer for their team. They cheer to make sure they give motivation to their team. They cheer because they want to give positive vibes and positive energy to their team. That's what cheerleader is about. So what we do in our course is we train your mind to be a cheerleader to yourself. And that's the biggest cheerleader you need for your life, because you need to be able to program your mind to be able to be your own cheerleader. And when you get to do that, that's how you can always switch from a negative thought to a positive thought just in a split second. So we actually program your mind on an autopilot mode by using a structured habitual routine that we teach to instill good habits in you so that it becomes an autopilot. Right? So these are the things. There's 3 things. That's all. We use 3 simple steps to actually guide our trainees. And, our first pilot program we're doing on 30 days because we wanted to make sure that we give a full one month of guidance. Moving forward, we're going to do a 21-day program because in 21 days is the number of days you need to establish a new habit. Okay, so, and there's another thing I like to share with you. This is again a lifesaver. This has been a lifesaver for me when I discovered this. And I discovered this when I attended the NLP, right? The Neuro Linguistic Programming Certification. So have a look at the next slide. Now, what if I told you that you can make decisions? You can decide, okay, you can make decisions. You find your answers and you know what to say. All this within 5 seconds if you know how to master the usage of this format. And this is what I teach in the masterclass and also in bootcamp. Basically, I teach you how to program your mind to get to a warrior mindset just by using this format. And you don't even need to write it. By the time I train, your mind is trained, right? It gets so autopilot that this becomes a mental picture. The format becomes your mental picture. And every time you get stuck, every time you get into anxiety attack, every time you get into a point where you don't know what to think, how to think, what to say, you get into a stressful situation, angry situation, depressed situation, whatever situation you're in, you use this format, I guarantee you'll be able to get out of it in no time, like 5 seconds. Okay. Now, what's really, really interesting is the next slide. Have a look. How many of you, okay, I'm going to ask you this. The first thing when your alarm clock rings, the first time your camera rings, what do you say to yourself? When the alarm clock rings, what's the first thing that you tell yourself? Yeah, it's mostly negative, correct? It's mostly that, oh, you know, I wish I could go back to bed. Oh, maybe 5 minutes more. Or you want to go to the gym, you say, oh, you know, maybe tomorrow, right? So that actually shows you that all of us have a negative self-talk. All of us do. Every single one of us do. But you know what's the scary thing about the negative self-talk? Our negative self-talk is 86%. It leaves 86% of negativity in us, which means 86% of what we say to ourselves is negative and 14% is positive. You know, you just imagine people who are a little bit, you know, let's say people who are a bit on the skinny side and people on the heavier side. What do you tell yourself when you look at yourself in the mirror? You know, I'm fat, I'm thin, I wish I was better. You want to go to the gym. Oh, how come I'm not as toned as him? How come I'm not as smart as him? How come my business is not as big as him? How come, you know, how come they can go to this place and I can't? How come they can grow their business and I can't? You keep telling yourself all the negativity and you're bashing yourself up. So when you do that, when you bash yourself up, what happens to your mind? Your mind has no choice but to listen to you. Your mind has no choice but to listen to how bad you think you are. If you are always in a scenario B, right? Always in a scenario B, which is always thinking about what's not enough. I don't have enough money in the bank. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough staff. So what happens to your mind is your mind has to act and agree with you so that you can act what you think. But when you get yourself into resourceful stage, that is when you say, hey, I can think of that. I can do this. I can do that. And suddenly your mind opens up to all the different ideas that you never thought about, right? I'm just going to ask you this thing. And this is something I like to do with a lot of my trainees. I'm going to say this to you. Okay. Don't think of a blue box. Okay? Don't think of a blue box. Now you need to ask yourself what you're thinking about. And I guarantee you, most of you would say blue box. And why do you want to think about the blue box? So you're going to ask me, Jennifer, if you don't want me to think about the blue box, then what do you want me to think about? And I said, well, I want you to think about a red box. Then why don't you just tell me you want me to think about the red box? So don't think about the fact that you don't want to be stressed, because that's a blue box. If you don't want to be stressed, then what do you want to be? You want to be happy. You want to be resourceful. You want to be courageous. You want to be joyful, whatever it may be. You always think about what you want. Don't worry about what you don't want, because that's not your interest. Okay? So this is why, and you know, that's why, okay, this is again my favorite quote, right? Look at this slide. Look at the next slide here. What does it say? It says that we have to focus on our goals and not the obstacles. No one is interested in the obstacles. You and I are not interested in our obstacles. We don't care. There is crisis, yes. There is MCO, yes. There is coronavirus going on. We all have to be careful. Yes, that's a fact. That is already a fact, whether you like it or not, right? So what you need to now look at is look at the goals of what you want to move forward. That's why you need strategies. You need tools. You need techniques. You need knowledge. You need know-how. You need collaboration. You need mentors. That's being resourceful. And that's how you need to look into moving forward. So my last message to you guys is, I want you to really look in this slide and look at what it says. It says you believe in what you want so much that it has no choice but to materialize. You just believe in what you want so much because that's what you believe in. That's what you think will happen. You're going to pivot your business and it's going to thrive. You're going to pivot your business. It's going to be much better than before. You need to be able to believe it so much that it has to happen. So when you do that, your mind will automatically find ways for you to make it happen. And that's all what we call being a mind mastery, getting that mind warrior mindset. And that's absolutely important. And that mindset have brought me out of crisis. I have mentioned, I come from a traditional business. I have nothing online. If I didn't pivot, if I didn't have a strong mind to find ways and enjoy it, and most important thing is I am enjoying my transformation. I'm enjoying this journey. I'm enjoying this pivot very much, right? So that's I like to leave that part, that statement to you. And I like you to really think about, how do you want to master your mind? How do you want to do that? How do you want to have that mind warrior mindset where you can conquer the world and you can conquer your mind? So thank you so much for letting me share my thoughts with you.
All right, thank you so much, Jennifer. I know you guys who are watching this. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna ask some questions, and as I'm gonna ask Jennifer some questions, if you guys have any questions, you can post on the comment as well. Right. So Jennifer, I'm gonna start with my questions.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing. Few points that I wanna ask is this. What you shared a lot is about positivity. It's about optimism. But how at this point of time, when most business owners, most leaders are faced with so much challenges which is the reality, how do you have a good balance of optimism and reality? Because you don't want to be over optimistic and say, I don't want to look at negative stuff, right?
Yep.
You want to have that positivity, that optimism. At the same time, you got to go out there and face these challenges. So how do you achieve that perfect balance?
Okay. Now all of us will have some form of negativity in us. That is normal, right? The point is not to disregard the negativity. The point is not to disregard the crisis. It is there for you to learn what do you want to do to overcome that crisis. How do you want to do this? Okay, so you've got this negativity. So you're talking about reality, between reality and optimism, right? Now, reality is what the situation is right now. Reality is what? MCO, crisis. You may have some struggle in your cash flow. You have a business that may not be generating income. Now, this is reality. So now the question is this. You go back to the first point when I said, focus on what you want and not what you don't want. If you continue to focus on this reality, which is the negativity, which you're facing right now, what answers do you think you're going to get? What outcome do you think you're going to get? If you think that you have no income now and you need to generate income, okay, very good. So you know now what you want is you want to generate income. The question now is, we go to the format system, is how you're going to generate income. First is what you're going to generate. Next is how I'm going to generate. Now, of course, mindset is what you need at the beginning, but you need the techniques, you need the tools, you need the strategies. You still need to know how to pivot your business. But without a warrior mindset, without a strong mindset, whatever people tell you, whatever strategies people share with you, what's gonna be your answer? You're gonna be, oh no, I think that's difficult. Oh no, I don't have the capacity. No, I don't have the money to do it. I don't even know whether I can even stay on for another 3 months. So when you keep telling yourself that, when you keep having that negativity in you, then you're not opening yourself to embracing new learnings, new strategies, new ways. Then how are you going to grow? Because you are fighting with your mind. Your heart, maybe your heart wants to try and thrive and find something else and build this business, but your mind is struggling to say, no, I don't think you can. So when you have that conflict, that's when you're not able to take the first step because you're so afraid. There's so many doubts. So the key is to take reality, what is happening now, the negativity that comes with it, learn from it, ask yourself, what do you want to do next? How do you want to pivot? How do you want to grow the business? all of us should ask ourselves, all business owners should ask ourselves this question first right now. Okay, the first question you should ask yourself is, do you want to continue with your business? Yes or no? If your answer is yes, I want to continue with this business, that's it, fantastic. My next question is, how are you going to do that? The way you ask yourself questions, the way you communicate with the people around you is very important, because what questions I ask you as a mentor, for example, as a coach, for example, is going to make you think. I'm going to make sure that I make you think in a resourceful way and not make you think of your problems from the past, because that's not what I'm interested in. And that's the self-talk we need. We need to talk to ourselves. Yeah. So that optimism is not plucked from the sky, but it's training the mind to keep looking at resourceful ways to pivot or to grow or to continue your business.
Very good sharing. But how about those who share with me this? At this point of time, many business owners are stuck at home, stuck with their loved one, while they are building that whole warrior mindset. Sometimes the ones who are defeating their mind are very often their loved ones.
Yeah.
Right. And before this, some of the bosses, what they will do is they will get off home because they don't face this problem. They will go out and fight. But right now, they have no choice, but they have to fight for home. Yeah. And their biggest enemy, their loved one, is at home. So how do you handle that?
Okay. So now what we can always look at is what we can control ourselves, right? What's around us, we always say we can't control. Correct? We say we cannot control our loved ones, what they say to us, right? You see, that's how you communicate with your brain already. You already say you can't control. So there will never be a positive outcome. Because our minds are programmed. Okay, they're programmed for years already that I can't stay at home for too long. I'm gonna end up fighting with the kids. I'm gonna end up fighting with my spouse. I'm gonna end up fighting with my in-laws. Why? Because this has been the pattern. And as long as we don't disrupt that pattern and start thinking of ways of how now will I start to communicate with my kids? How do I now communicate with my loved ones? How do I communicate with the people in my house? The thing is, we all have to look at ourselves first. We say that we end up fighting with our loved ones at home. But have you thought about what is your own language pattern? How are you talking? How are you communicating? What are the words you're using? Are you speaking in a positive way? Because if you yourself, under stress, you're not speaking in a positive way, what is the reaction do you think you get? If you continue to think, I'm stressed, I have this problem, I have that problem, and you tell your family members that, I'm having a huge problem, I'm having a problem with my business, so please guys, leave me alone, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So what kind of thinking pattern are you implying, and also are you introducing to your family? Everyone will get into the stress because you're attracting them. So what everybody needs to do is to get clarity. When you get clarity, the simplicity will come. Because like I said, to be able to train your mind is only 3 simple steps. But how do you get the simplicity of training your mind when you don't have clarity? The clarity are questions you have to ask yourself. That's why in our boot camp, we do journaling, we do meditation. Why? Because journaling and meditation is a technique that you use consistently, will give you clarity, extreme clarity. And you need to first ask yourself, what do I want? What do I want in my business? What do I want in my family's life? What do I want moving forward? Because it's all about the future, right? It's all about what is going to be the results, the outcome in the future. So if you ask yourself, do I still want this kind of environment in my house? Do I still want to live in an environment of fighting with everybody? Do I want to live in an environment of feeling angry? And if your answer is no, then we need to find the clarity of what do you want then? What do you want? For those of you who are having these issues about having tremendous stress and being locked in home at home, and really feeling the pressure, and that's not what you want, correct? If you don't want that, what do you want? So once you get the clarity of what you want, and you ask yourself, okay, so this is what I want. How am I going to get that? What do I need to do in order to get that? So then now your mind is starting to be resourceful. Your mind has kind of blocked away that negative pattern that you used to have, and you're no longer focusing on the fights anymore. You're now focusing on, how do I get a day of happiness with my family? What must I say in order for me to feel happy so that my family feels happy too? Happiness is a choice, right? We always say happiness is a choice. Who makes that choice? We do. Each of us do. We make that choice to be happy. When you make that conscious choice to be happy, that is exactly what you're already communicating to your brain, that I want to be happy. So you see, even when I say I want to be happy, I'm smiling because my actions is influenced by my thinking pattern. My thoughts actually influences my feeling, and my feeling influences my action. So when I think of happiness, I feel happy, I smile. When I think of stress, I will, really come up with a stressful look, and I will not smile. I can't smile if I'm stressful. So the question is actually very, very simple. It boils down to the person who is having that issue at home is, what do you want? Focus on that. Okay?
So since we're at the topic of, and since we're at the topic of clarity, knowing clearly what you want, see, many people know what I think the biggest problem with most people is they know very clearly what they don't want. They don't really know what they want. And even if they're able to find out what they want, what is happening is it's so easy to start, but it's so hard to maintain.
Correct.
January is the month where you see everyone is at gym, but by March, right, even though no MCO, you hardly see 30% of the guys you see in January is there, right? 70% drop off. Right. For yourself, I'm very keen to know, you have gone through a very huge transformation yourself. What motivates you every single day? You mentioned that you enjoy this transformation. There must be that. I want to know that. What is the 4% that motivates you every single day?
Because I have a purpose. At this time when I pivoted, right, when I found that diamond, when I found that diamond of how to pivot, and I was creating this product, right, creating this bootcamp. The first question I asked myself is, what is the purpose of this bootcamp? What am I going to do with it? How can it help impact people? How can it help to make a change or a difference in the world or in the society or in people? And when I discovered that purpose, it made the product into a very, very comprehensive product. Then when I started the coaching, and I realized that my purpose is now even gone deeper, right? Because our purpose evolves. It's never a permanent purpose. We never get a permanent purpose. The purpose will evolve as you go on with life because you experience different things. And when I went through that 12 days of coaching, I experienced a transformation by my students, right? The participants, they themselves went through transformation. And because they went through transformation, I went through transformation too. And the more I see that it's impacting lives, the more I see that purpose of mine of wanting this boot camp is getting deeper, that actually motivates me to want to do more. So it's always about the thirst. It's always about the hunger of doing more, the hunger of doing better, the hunger of being a better person, the hunger of having a better purpose. If you have that hunger, you continue to have that hunger, what happens then? That hunger becomes an addiction. Now, addiction can come in a bad way. It can also come in a good way. People say you're addicted. Some people say I'm addicted to KFC, I'm addicted to ice cream, I'm addicted to cigarettes, I'm addicted to everything. How do you get addicted in the first place? Because you
start.
you had the hunger for it. You were thirsty for it. And then you got yourself hooked. That's the hook, right? So the hooks is the leader to lead you to addiction. So you use the same thing here in a good addiction is you find your hook. What is your hook? Your hook has to be associated with a purpose. What's the point of doing a business when there's no purpose? You might as well go out and work. But when you have a purpose, like even now, I ask, when I talk to business owners or I talk to entrepreneurs, I always ask them, what's your purpose of continuing with this business? MCO is the best time for you to break the business, throw in the towel, discontinue, because we have the best reason. You don't have to worry about ego problem. There's no ego problem because it's a crisis that have killed the business. But for those who want to continue with the business, you have to know what is your purpose of continuing with this business. If your purpose is not any different from before, then what are you serving? The two things I always make sure that I associate myself with so that I can continually be motivated. One is purpose. Another one is serve. I always ask myself, who am I serving? Who am I serving? In our training, in our mindset training, in our boot camp, we are serving people who needs help with their minds. We're serving people who are stuck. We're serving people who don't know how to get out of a situation but want to get out of a situation. We're serving people who wants to be a better person but they just can't seem to know which direction to take. So you have to understand first of all who are you serving? Because when you can serve these people, when you know the clarity, when you get the clarity of who you're serving, your purpose becomes really, really strong. When your purpose becomes strong, then your business is a very purpose-driven business. When you run a purpose-driven business, you have no choice but to be a very purposeful person. And that is the motivation vitamins. The purpose is your vitamins to keep you motivated. Right? The minute you lose touch with that purpose, you will realize that your desire will go down because you no longer have that purpose. So why do we go to the gym? Why do people go to the gym? There are only two types of people in the world that goes to the gym. The first group are people who goes to the gym are the people who says, I don't want to get fat. The other group of people who goes to the gym would say, because I want to stay healthy. I want to stay fit. So what is the great difference between these two? Person A is a type of person with a thinking pattern that will always have goals that are away from. You set goals that are away from. I don't want to be fat. That's a goal. I don't want to be fat is a goal. But that goal is an away from goal. Person B, I want to go to the gym because I want to be healthy. I want to stay fit. I'm going to go for a big adventure for 1 month in New Zealand. I need to be fit. That is a person with a thinking pattern of a goal that is towards. I want to be fit is a towards. I don't want to be fat is an away from. So you need to ask yourself, what kind of person are you first? What is your pattern? Are you a person who is always away from? Away from person is a blue box guy or girl. It's a blue box person. We tell our kids, don't run, don't scream. Then if you don't want them to run, you don't want them to scream, what do you want? You want them to sit. You want them to be quiet. Why do you tell your staff, don't be late? That's an away from. Don't be late is an away from. It's a blue box. When you tell someone don't be late, they will be late because that's their focus. So you always set goals that are towards and not away from, right? So now you ask yourself, this MCO, I want to continue the business. Yes, I do. Very good. You got that. Then now you ask yourself why. What's your purpose of doing it? Once you've got your purpose, you set your goals and you make sure your goals are towards, not away from. Don't have a blue box goal, right? So once you put all these in place and you do your journaling, you do your meditation, you know where I learned journaling from? I learned journaling from Patrick Grove. Do you know that? One day last year, last year I was in very, very deep darkness, honestly. Last year was my 25th year in business. and I had a burnout. It just hit me one day. I didn't even realize it. I had such a deep burnout that I was going to throw in the towel. I was going to walk away. And I was constantly in darkness, going towards depression, not really depression. I don't even know how to say it. Depression, sadness, confusion, nightmares, couldn't sleep, no mood, didn't want to do anything. Even I, as a trainer, I can still get into that cycle, right? And what I felt was literally, this was why I told my NLP trainer. I said, I feel like I'm under the sea. I'm underwater. I'm scuba diving in the dark. I can't see anything. I know I'm deep in the water. I know the surface is right at the top. I don't know how to get up. And I'm just circling. I'm just circling the sea. And I said, I feel like that. And he congratulated me. He said, Jennifer, congratulations. I said, what? You gotta be kidding me. He said, yes. You're going through an evolution. You've just hit your rock bottom. And to go through an evolution, you need to hit your rock bottom. It's only when you hit the rock bottom, then will you come out. When you don't hit your rock bottom, you can't come out. The only difference is people who hit the rock bottom will make a decision whether you want to come up or not. And that was a decision I made. I could have made a decision to throw in the towel last year. I could have stopped this entire business, but I didn't. Because I decided that no, I'm not going to give up. I spent 25 years, for God's sake, doing this business. Why would I give it up? So I made a choice to turn around. I flipped the coin. And I flipped it the other side, and I made a conscious decision to say, enough. Jennifer, enough. Get out. Right? And that was when I pressed the restart button. And that was when I rebooted. So the question comes back down to, what do you want? Clarity, or what do you want? And then somebody sent me a video of Patrick Grove, because that person knew I was going through a burnout stage. He sent this video to me. Patrick Grove lost a lot of money, right, when the bubble burst. And he was in the verge of committing suicide. He was like, he was hoping that the building would just blow off and he would die, then he doesn't have to pay anything. And, his mother has gave out all her savings. And they had like 3,000 staff down to 30 staff. And he was in the most down period of his life. And he came across the technique of journaling. And that helped him. That gave him clarity. And ever since I got that video, Jonathan, ever since I got that video last year, I watch it religiously almost every day. Just to keep myself motivated, just to have that vitamin to tell myself, Jen, there's a reason. Patrick Grove can do it, so can you. Journaling gives you clarity. Journaling gives you answers. It's not just writing on a piece of paper. It's really taking time off. 5 minutes a day, guys. 10 minutes a day, that's all it takes. If you cannot give yourself 10 minutes a day to journal and get clarity, then are you being fair to yourself? I journaled what happened to me in the whole MCO period. And I was then amazed and said, Jennifer, congratulations. I praised myself. Today I can do so many things I couldn't do before MCO. I panicked. The first time I had my Zoom, I was like, wanting to call Ginny, wanting to call Jonathan, what's happening? I lost this, I lost that. I started panicking. Now I'm calm. It's okay. Panic, it's all right. Just press the share button. Just do this again. I can do this. I'm like a pro now. I've created so many decks. Do you know, I'm writing a module, Jonathan. I feel like I'm writing a textbook. I'm writing a textbook. 30 days, 30 topics. Class masterclass. Every day there's a new topic, and I'm writing the modules. And every day when I have a new module written, I feel so good. So the word clarity is one of the most important things you must have during crisis. You must have clarity. Whether it's COVID-19 crisis, whether it's your own emotional crisis, whether it's your business crisis, home crisis, family crisis, marriage crisis, whatever crisis you go to, you need to seek clarity. You owe that to yourself, guys. You owe that to yourself. You have to give yourself time to look for that clarity. Yeah. So that's how I survived and how I made it back, from under the sea right back to the top of the ocean.
Yeah. I totally agree. In fact, in our company, in owner circle as well, most of us journal. Personally, I've been journaling for years. Used to journal on the laptop, but right now, last year, Raymond challenged me to, give me what I call a home journal.
Wow.
I need to write more. And today it has become a habit. I got to do this every day, and this is my, I have all of this working on. And I think it gave me a lot of clarity because got me to stay composed, got me to really put all these thoughts in place,
Right.
and it gave me a lot of power.
Correct.
We have spent around an hour. I'd like to end with this question, and my question is this: we started this session with Jack Ma. Jack Ma, you showed this picture of Jack Ma saying this: is this crisis here to destroy you or to build you? But I'm not going to talk about that topic. I'm going to talk about Jack Ma himself because he said this. He said that at this point of time, for business owners, just focus on staying alive. Don't talk about dreams. Don't talk about plans. Just make sure you stay alive. Okay. At the same time, over here, we are talking about, hey, you got to focus. Whatever you focus expands.
Right.
What do you think of that? What's your thought on that? Jack Ma say, don't dream. Just stay alive.
Correct. I saw that quote. A couple of days ago, right? Somebody sent it to me. And usually when I get a good quote, I would forward. But I didn't forward Jack Ma's quote. Not because it's not a good quote. But you see, that's what Jack Ma focuses on because of his circumstances. Jack Ma says that because his own circumstances of his business is at a totally different position. He can focus on perhaps staying alive and forget about your dreams. Now, if I were to ask you this question now, if you resonate with Jack Ma's quote, not to say it's not a good quote, yeah, because it all depends on who resonates with what right now. If you resonate with Jack Ma's quote and you say, yeah, I think I agree with him, just ask yourself this question: what's the purpose of staying alive and what's the purpose of not having a dream, and what's the purpose of staying alive? If you can find the purpose to that for your business, please do go ahead because that applies to you. But if it's something for me, yeah, let's just talk about me, in my opinion. If Jack Ma's quote were to be presented to me, would I follow it? I wouldn't follow it, not for me at this point. Not for me at this point, because my situation is to pivot totally from a traditional business to a totally digital business. And if I don't have dreams of where I can take this digital business to, if I'm only talking about survival, I can't evolve. Evolution is not survival. Evolution and survival is totally different. So you need to be able to get the clarity of what your business needs are right now. Is your business in the position of being in the position of Jack Ma, which means you just survived? Or is your business being in a position where you can't just survive? You have to move forward. You have to look into how to pivot, how to evolve, and how to transform. Only you can tell, only you know the answer. So it cannot be a one size fits all. So I don't encourage that. I don't encourage taking quotes and applying to everyone because it's not a one size fits all. Yeah. You need to know the situation you're in. You need to get clarity of what is the situation you're in. You also need to know what is your purpose moving forward. And once you get all this in place, then you're ready to talk to your mind. Then you're ready to talk to your self-talk, which is the person you see in the mirror.
Yep.
When you get that, then you tell yourself, okay, I'm all ready. Bring it on. That's my favorite 3 words. Bring it on, and I'm going to show you where we're going to go. That's how I talk to myself in the mirror, right? And that gives me motivation because I speak, I'm smiling, and I see myself smiling. And the person in the mirror, is my cheerleader. That person is a person who will tell me, Jennifer, go for it. Right? So that's what we need every day. That's my vitamin. So you need to find what your vitamins are, and you need to get the clarity and then execute it and make it into a habit. Yeah. So that's what I would
All right,
advise.
amazing stuff, man. Amazing stuff, Jennifer. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank
Definitely a mind master.
Right.
And one thing you reminded me, if there's one thing I learned from this session, will be this:
Right.
MCO brings the best test of your purpose.
Yes.
Very often, business owners start a business because they will make money. Yeah, they will make difference, but one of the reasons they dare to start a business is because they know that this has potential of financial rewards. Right?
Yeah.
Profits often get people started, but it's truly the purpose that keeps one going. So I hope that everyone will go through this tough test of your purpose. This is the time for you to reinvent yourself, repurpose yourself as well, some of you.
Yeah.
And I look forward to see you guys there. Right. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, Jennifer, for being with us. Right. And for those who are watching, hope you stay safe, stay strong, and look forward to see you in the next webinar. All right. Thank you so much.